Hello friends, I am Dr. Femila Alexander, Assistant Professor and Head, Department of History, Bishop Heber College, Trichy. Today we are going to know about the art and architecture of Vijayanagar Empire. The Vijayanagar Empire, also called the Karnataka Kingdom, it was established in 1336 by the brothers Harihara I and Bukkaraya I of the Sangama dynasty. These members of the pastoralist cowherd community that claimed Yadava lineage. They had been administrators in the Kakatiya kingdom, which was defeated by the Delhi Sultanate. When Kampili fell in 1327, the two brothers are believed to have been captured and taken to Delhi, where they converted to Islam. They were returned to the Deccan as governors of Kampili for the Sultanate with the hope that they would be able to deal with the many local revolts and inversions by neighboring Hindu kings. They followed a conciliatory policy toward the landholders of the area, many of whom had not accepted Muslim rule, and began a process of consolidation and expansion. The brothers reconverted to Hinduism under the influence of Vidyaranya and proclaimed their independence from the Delhi. This Vijayanagar Empire was ruled by four important dynasties. They are Sangama dynasty, Saluva dynasty, Tuluva dynasty and Aravidas dynasty. Contribution to art and architecture, the Vijayanagar Empire's patronage enabled its fine arts and literature to rise to new heights. Its legacy of sculpture, painting and architecture influenced the development of the arts in South India long after the empire came to an end. The Hazara Ramasamy temple and Vittalachami temple was built during this period. The bronze image of Krishnadeva Raya is a masterpiece. The sources of Vijayanagar Empire history include accounts of foreign travelers, local vernacular literature, archaeological excavations, etc. A number of foreign travelers have left a vivid account of the glory of Vijayanagar. Nicola Conti, an Italian traveler, Abdul Razak, an ambassador from Shahul Rukh of Persia, and Domingo Paez, a Portuguese traveler, have given a vivid account of the magnificent buildings which adorned the city of Vijayanagar. Vijayanagar has been described as large as Rome or any biggest town in the western world at the time. The city was surrounded by 7 fortifications. The space is between used for various purposes such as laying gardens and growing vegetables, etc. The total area of the city was estimated at 64 square miles. There were beautiful lakes, open gardens, broad and well-laid roads and buildings. The Tungabhadra river had a dam which provided water for the 40-kilometer long canal of the city. The palace was the most impressive building in Vijayanagar. There were halls of public and private audiences. The halls were decorated with beautifully painted pictures. Usually, the walls and pillars were ornamented with sculptures made of stone or wood. Unfortunately, most of the city of Vijayanagar is now in ruins, represented by the well-known site Hampi, which is dotted with little hills of granite and where not a blade of grass grows. Temple architecture received a new impetus and reached a new heights under the patronage of the Vijayanagar rulers. Important features of the Vijayanagar style of temple and architecture were monolithic pillars, ornate brackets, decoration on the exterior side of the walls, etc. The Vijayanagar architecture, according to art critic Percy Brown, is a vibrant combination and blossoming of the Chalukya, Hoysala, Pandya and Chola styles. Idioms that prospered in previous centuries, its legacy of sculpture, architecture and painting influenced the development of the arts long after the empire came to an end. Its stylistic hallmark is the ornate pillared Kalyana Mandapa marriage hall, Vasanta Mandapa open pillared halls and the Rajakopura tower. Artisans used the locally available hard granite because of its durability since the kingdom was under constant threat of invasion. An open-air theatre of monument at its capital at Vijayanagar is the UNESCO World Heritage Site. The Vijayanagar style is the carving and consecration of large monolithic statues such as the Sasivikalu Ganesha and Kadalakalu Ganesha at Hampi. The Komadishwara Bahubali monolithics in Karkala and Vennur and the Nandi Bull in Lepakshi. This is the Sasivilak Ganesha and Kadalakalu Ganesha at Hampi. The giant Ganesha statue is 4.6 meter, 15 feet tall and was carved out of a single boulder. The belly of the statue resembles a Bengal gram. Kadalakalu, kavuttu vacha kadala madri, nelakadala madri. Kadalakalu in Kannada, and hence the statue has been given the name of Kadalakalu Ganesha. The temple of Kadalakalu Ganesha is a beautiful stone structure. The sanctum is built around the statue. The pillared hall in front of the sanctum is decorated with tall and beautiful pillars. I hope you can see these pillars. The sculpture on the pillars are depicted with mythological characters. The pillars are constructed in the typical Vijayanagar style of architecture. One of the pillars has a carving depicting naughty infant Krishna hiding on a tree. He steals the clothes of the bathing woman and hangs the clothes on the tree, and the women refuse to return their clothes back. On the rear side of the statue, a giant hand can be seen supporting the back of Ganesha. The hand is that of goddess Parvati. The statue is imaged as Ganesha sitting on the lap of Mother Parvati, who is holding his bag. This is Lepakshi Nandi. Lepakshi is a small village in Anandapur district of Andhra Pradesh. Lepakshi is historically and archaeologically significant with 3 shrines dedicated Shiva, Vishnu and Veerabhadra, which were built during the Vijayanagar king's period 1336 to 1646. The etymology of the name Lepakshi is not very certain. Incidentally, the name of Lepakshi village has an interesting story to it. The village is regarded as the place where Jadayu fell down after being injured by Ravana. Jadayu is a huge bird in the Ramayana who tried to rescue Sita when Ravana was abducting her. Lord Rama is said to have commanded the bird to rise. Lepakshi. Lepakshi means rise bird. Elundru. Paravaye elundru. Abdinu. Lepakshi in Telugu. Hence the name of the village and temple. Lepakshi is a culturally, historically and archaeologically significant village. One of the main attractions in Lepakshi is the huge Nandi bull made of the single granite stone. It's 4.5 meter high and 8.2.3 meter long. The big granite bull is on the main road. About 200 meters from the temple, it has been positioned such that it faces the Shivalinga, shielded by a huge serpent inside the temple. It's the second largest monolithic in India after the Gomadishvara. This is the huge granite Nandi is located about 200 meters from the temple at the front, which is the 20 feet in the height and 30 feet in length. The statue is decorated with garlands and bells, all curved out of the single block of stone, and is said to be one of the largest of its type in the world. The Nandi statue faces a popular granite statue of the coiled multi-hooded snake. It's a coiled multi-hooded snake in a protective pose over a Shivalinga on the eastern side of the temple side. This is the huge Nandi. This is the multi-hooded snake in a protective pose. Next, we are going to see about the massive dance hall with 70 stone pillars. Vijayanagar Empire sculpture. This is sculpted pillars in an interior chamber of temple at Lepakshi. Sculptures were typically carved out of soapstone during the Vijayanagar Empire and are mostly associated with temples. These sculptures incorporated a number of elements from different South Indian cultures and could be stand alone. Monolithic figures are carved into the walls or pillars of temples. After a sculpture was carved, the artisan would use plaster to smooth over the figures, and then the sculpture would be painted. Common themes for statues included representations of Nandi the bull, which the Hindu god Lord Shiva rode upon hippogriffs, the half-horse, half-eagle horses, and the Hindu god Ganesha, who took the form of an elephant. The Vijayanagar Empire was also known for its portraiture statues, which featured the likeness of emperors and their consorts. Vijayanagar Empire painting. One of the ways the Vijayanagar expressed itself was through painting, not portraiture style painting, but mural and fresco paintings that decorated the interiors of buildings such as palaces and scar temples. The majority of themes were from Hindu cosmology, including gods and goddesses. There were also depictions of people dancing and musical instruments which reflected on some of the cultural tradition practiced by the people who lived in the empire. Characteristics of the Vijayanagar style of painting included a tendency toward detailed, graceful lines and the spare use of bright colors. Figures in Vijayanagar paintings were often painted with a slight background tilt from the waist to the feet, while the torso upon the neck faced forward and the head was in profile. Figures had elaborate hairstyles and beautiful costumes and were ornamented in jewelry. Most paintings were on walls or ceilings are found in manuscripts, and they commonly had a flat background, the color of ochre or perhaps red. Very little of Vijayanagar paintings has survived the centuries. Temples erode and decay, and manuscripts, which are of even more fragile material, decorated. However, there are still a few temples such as Veerabhadra temple in Lepakshi that bear witness to the skilled painters of the Vijayanagar Empire, and some museums house portions of manuscripts written and painted on cotton and other materials. Already I explained you, this is the epic wall, the inside the temple, this is the outside, the beautiful structure of Hazara Rama temple. The temple has the sprawling lawn on its northern side. There are two huge gateways that give access to the temple compound. The interior of the temple has ornately sculpted columns. An empty pedestal with the 3 holes signifies that the temple once had idols of Rama Lakshmana and Sita. There is a small shrine inside the temple complex with similar epic wall carvings. The only addition is that there are depictions of Lord Vishnu also on the walls of this shrine. The temple stands as an example of the excellent craftsmanship of Vijayanagar sculpture. This is Vitala Swami temple. The Vitala Swami temple is one of the important temples in Hampi. Its construction began during the time of Krishnadeva Raya in 1513 CE and it continued even during the reign of his successors Achyuta Raya 1529 to 42 CE. And perhaps it was not completed as per the grandson's plan of its builder Krishnadeva Raya. Facing east, this temple is in the center of the quadrangle measuring 500 feet by 310 feet and it has 3 gopura entrances in north, south and east. This vast temple complex can be divided into 3 parts, namely the outer Mugamandapa, the central Rangamandapa and the interior Suganashi and Grabhagriha. The outer Mugamandapa stands on a 5 feet basement and it has 3 entrances. The entire mandapa has 56 pillars of composite nature and each one appears to be an independent monument. The ceilings have lotus design. Through the above mandapa, one entrance into Rangamandapa, which is the most beautiful part of this temple. The pillars and pilasters and the niches exhibit Dravidian characters. The composite pillar of this mandapa are especially noteworthy for the decorative nature and delicate carvings of gods and goddesses and scroll work. In the center is the grand enclosure of 16 extremely beautiful tall pillars. At the western part of is the doorway leading to the Suganashi and Grabhagriha. There is a Pradakshina Pada which has pierced windows, jalandras, to allow sufficient light and air. Inscription mentioned that Krishnadeva Raya added Palapuja Mandapa and Kalyana Mandapa to the structure. Perhaps the Garbhagriha had a Vishnu image in the form of Vitala to which deity regular worship was offered and various festivals were celebrated on a grand scale. This is stone chariot. Another important attraction of this temple is stone chariot. You can see this chariot. It's the characteristics of the Vijayanagar art. It is taken Vijayanagar architecture and sculpture as it is the harmonious blend and the architecture for which the Vijayanagar architects and sculpture over the country. This is another stone chariot. It's the Rangamandapa. It stands before the Rangamandapa. The Radha or the stone chariot looks like a miniature Dravidian temple which originally perhaps had a brick tower. It has 4 wheels, 2 on either side, and it's said that could be turned on its axis. This chariot has an image of Garuda as it is the Vishnu temple. The temple is so characteristic of the Vijayanagar art. It is taken as a symbol of Vijayanagar architecture and sculpture as it is the harmonious blending of sculpture and architectural for which the Vijayanagar architects and sculptors were famous all over the country. Thank you, dears.